So we talked about now like training, kind of strategizing and having techniques and all. I'm going to ask a question, and I know it's your favorite question to answer. And I know a lot of parents are probably thinking it. So for speed training, what do my reps, what do my sets, and what do my rest periods look like?
It's a volume question. So the answer is it depends.
Yeah.
It's always going to be it depends. So speed, unless you're training 90 to 100% neurological effort. So 100% would be your max effort, your maximum effort.
Yeah.
By definition, max effort is an effort that cannot be replicated twice.
Yeah.
Right? So that would be a true max.
Gotcha.
90 is pretty damn close. So let's say, for example, if you ask me about volume, so let's say we're doing sprints. Even if I train at 100, I only have one attempt.
Gotcha.
Okay. So now if I'm training at, let's say, 95% of my maximal effort, I have what, 3 attempts, maybe 2?
Gotcha.
If I'm training at 90%, then it's what, 5? But you also got to understand that speed is a skill, and tapping into those efforts is also a skill. The human body will not allow you to tap into those efforts if it doesn't feel safe. So if I had a newer athlete who's never done speed training before, they're going to be able to do a higher volume, because for them, I'm going to use the strategy of practice sprinting. We're working on technique. We're working on feel. We're working on cadence. We're working on mobility. We're doing all these different things, right? So athletes who are really new to speed or not that good at speed, they can do higher volume, more reps, more sets. Their volume is always going to be higher because they're not good at it. The better you get at speed training, you could also call speed training power training, because power is in a 90 to 100 percentile of effort, right? So the better you become at speed training and tapping into those efforts, the lower the volume becomes. So for example, if the example I give all the time is Usain Bolt, when he ran that world record, right? 9.07 or something. Some ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
Ridiculous was his time. And I always ask athletes, for Usain Bolt to be able to replicate that time again, how much time, recovery time, would he need? And these are the options I give the athletes. Would he need minutes? Would he need hours? Would he need days? Or would he need weeks? It's weeks.
Yeah.
But no one says that.
Yeah.
They go.
I already knew the answer. The first time you asked me, I did not. I probably said
the first time he was probably
hours.
like, he could do it like in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
He can just go do it again. And you're talking about 9 seconds of maximal effort. To be honest, it's not even 9 seconds, because you got to factor in he has to work his way up to effort. So his top end speed, he's only at top end speed for maybe, let's call it 5 seconds out of his sprint, or maybe even 4.
Yeah.
He needs the first, 4.5, 5 seconds just to get to effort. And then he's only there at max effort for about 4 seconds. And he needs weeks, if not months, before he tries that attempt again.
Wish I had momentum training in high school.
Right?
For basketball would have been great.
But that's an extreme example.
Yeah.
So the short answer is, the better you are at speed, the less volume you need, but the more intensity.
Gotcha.
The worse you are at speed. So when I have young kids, I do high volume, because they don't know, a child does not know how to tap into those efforts, because it's a skill. So for example, I'll have like my son, actually both my boys, they love sprinting. They love racing.
Yeah.
And I remember like him and his brother or his friends, they'll do a race. Boom. And whoever loses, they're like, no, let's go again. And they want to go when? What? Options. Immediately, minutes, hours, days.
Days.
Huh?
Days.
Kids.
Oh, kids. Minutes.
No.
Not even seconds.
Instant.
Right? Yeah.
Instant. So I was like, that was your fastest? They're like, yeah, I know I can beat it. And I'm like, you just sprinted 3.4 seconds ago. So with kids, they haven't learned how to tap into an effort. I'll give you a perfect example. As a kid, let's say you see a football, you can just pick it up and throw it as far as you can just by seeing it, right?
Yeah.
Imagine if you did that now.
Shoulder would hurt. Something
would go terribly wrong.
Yeah.
So because we understand effort a little more, we have this gauge of effort that we know what we can and can't do subconsciously. So like even a heavy weight, like if you ask me, like kids will ask me like, hey coach, can you pick that up? And I'll say yes. And then I'll go, oh, how about that? Let's say it's a heavier weight. And I'm like, yes. They're like, can you show me? I was like, I want to see you do it real quick. And I'm like, no. Yeah. They're like, oh, I thought you said you could pick it up. I was like, you have 45 minutes so I can warm up and do all these different things. Same thing with the sprint. I have like this rule that I will not race athletes until I don't race them unless I know I'm going to win.
Yeah.
Right. I'm very competitive and the boys I train are very competitive, but I know I'm going to beat them.
Yeah.
But right about sophomore year and I see them and I'm looking at them. They're like, coach, you want to race? I'm like, no.
Hell no.
You're going to beat me.
Yeah.
I was like, and not only that, I can't just race. I was like, you have an hour. I need to go do my cars. I need to warm up, do some breath work. I need some practice sprints.
Not
like,
young no more.
I was like, I need a whole hour just for that 5-6 second attempt.
You were able to do with a 5-minute warm up, maybe. With
a kid, they can literally go a little stretch and they're ready to go play and sprint and run and climb. Right.
Yeah.
So reps, sets, volume in general. If you're really, really good at it, which most people are not, I have high schoolers who are still really bad. They don't understand they don't know the difference between 70 and 75. It's like everybody has 3 modes or 2 modes, slow and fast, easy and hard.
To know how good you are at speed, what are things that you need to understand? So is it purely just how fast can you actually move in a one-line distance, or is there more to it than just how fast you can actually move to know whether you're good or bad at it?
Once again, it depends. To say, how do I know if I'm good at speed? Well, are we using a clock? How are we measuring the speed? Yeah. Are we measuring it on a 40-yard dash? Are we measuring it as a 60-yard dash? Maybe they're a baseball player. Are we measuring how long it takes for them to get to first base after contact? Are we measuring a lineman who just needs to get to the quarterback and travel maybe 6-7 yards?
Maybe a basketball defensive player who needs to be able to change direction and keep up with speed. Yeah.
So how we test speed, measure speed, that's all dependent on what the sport is, right? So I do a lot of tests. So I can do a 20-yard test. I'm a big fan of the 20. I'm not a big fan of the 40. What's the difference? Well, with the 40-yard dash, which is very popular in football, and even the 60-yard dash in baseball, they need the first 20 yards just to get up to speed, right? That's their acceleration phase, the drive phase.
Yeah.
And then we're testing their top end speed. The reason I'm a fan of the 20 more than the 40 is because what percentage of a sport, so let's take the sport of football, for example. What percentage of the game are you having to accelerate versus tap into a top end speed? You're having to accelerate 100% of the time. There's never a situation in football where you don't have to accelerate. The moment you're stationary and then you have to get your body moving your center of mass, that's acceleration, right? You're picking up speed. So basketball, same thing. You're going from static to dynamic. So you're having to accelerate, and a 20-yard dash is, depending on the age, it could be, fast athletes are going to be in the low 2s. A child might be in the 4s.
Yeah.
A preteen might be in the 3s. But I care more about their ability to accelerate because that's something they're going to use in the sport on every single play. And top end speed, the amount of times, the amount of opportunities that an athlete has to even use their top end speed is non-existent. So you take a baseball player and he's in the outfield, or take any position in baseball. Name a situation where they actually hit a 90 to 100% neurological sprinting effort in the game. Never.
Yeah.
The highest effort I would assume would be like sprinting to first, like you're trying to beat the throw. In football, maybe on a go route, but doesn't he have to use effort to even get by the initial opponent?
Yeah.
Or maybe on a punt return?
Yeah.
And even then, I would argue they're only tapping into maybe like an 85, maybe a 90. Maybe if they're really, really good and they're really fast, maybe they can tap into a 90 percentile of effort, but that max effort is not being utilized. So I will use testing that is more conducive to the skills that they want to train. However, so with power, do I train power? Power would be 90 to 100. And the answer is yes. So even though in training, the testing, I like to test their acceleration. I'm a big fan of the 20. I'm a big fan of the 5, 10, 5. You know, they're learning how to change directions. I think the 40 is more exciting because everybody wants to see top end speed.
Yeah.
But in training, I make them do power all the time, because power I train year round, 90 to 100%. I train year round. I only make them do it. So if it's quote unquote in season, they'll do it once a week.
Gotcha.
If it's off season, they'll do it 2 to 3 times a week. If they don't have an off season, once to twice a week. But it depends on how fast they are.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But power is something I train year round, because I know for a fact every activity they do is never at 90, because there's so much volume attached to all the things they do. It wouldn't be possible for them to even touch those effort levels.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So in my session, when I'm talking about speed training strategies, I will train the effort levels that I know they don't touch. So what are the effort levels they don't touch in all the things they do? They don't do low effort. So I ask an athlete to go 40% on the sprint. They don't know how to do it.
They're just so used to full, whatever they think their max effort
They're
is.
using game effort, which game effort, I would say it would be between like 75 to 85. So in that zone of effort, most athletes are good, because you can still train at 70, 80% and be in a state of fatigue. You can still go 80% when you're tired. Take a basketball player in the fourth quarter.
Oh yeah.
They can still go hard.
Yeah.
Right. So I will train low efforts and I will train maximal efforts.
Yeah. All the areas where they.
Correct. The beautiful part about low efforts, meaning I call it level 1, anything that's under 60% effort, is that it's an anti-inflammatory zone. Okay. So they're not getting inflammation, but they're also, remember what I said, they're improving motor skills. So they're practicing. Yep. So now they're developing better motor skills. It's not breaking down their body. Yeah. And once their body has really good motor skills, whatever you do at level 1, which is the motor development level, you're going to see the same thing at level 2, level 3 amplified. And as the efforts go up, motor skills tend to break down. So if they become really, really, really good at the low efforts at 20, so let's say, for example, I'll have somebody do a sprint and I'll say, okay, for the first 20 yards, I want you to go 0 to 30% effort. And then for the next 20 yards, I want you to re-accelerate from 30 to 60% effort. And I might do that for high volume because they're going to feel good. They're going to develop motor efficiency, and it's anti-inflammatory. So they're not going to be sore. They're actually going to feel really, really good.
Just teaching them how to communicate well with the body in the sprint and how to move properly. And then from there, then you get that base foundation and you start going.
And then after that, like for me to go from 60% to 90 to 100, it's really easy. Now their next attempt, it's like 80, then it's 90, then it's 100.
Because now it just becomes natural.
The motor skills there. They have that blueprint.
Yeah.
So if that blueprint is there, they're able to, their body allows them to safely access higher efforts.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing about training those maximal efforts, 90, 100, is it pulls up all the other efforts. So if my 100 goes up, my 60 goes up, my 80 goes up, my 20 goes
Yeah.
up. So all the low efforts get pulled up.
So another reason as to why ego training is not good.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's insane. Yeah, I wish I had all this knowledge in high school, man, especially with basketball.